It's a nice late spring day here in Brooklyn.
Yes.
I feel like we've accomplished something pretty terrific just by the fact we're in the same room. It's been like a year, right, since I started.
Is it? I think it's been more than a year. I think it's been closer to 2.
It might, maybe, because it was not long after you started, I don't think, right? And you're going into finishing year 2.
I'm 2.5 years now.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that. Good. But so anyway, I'm just glad and thank you to your fabulous publicist, press person here at BAM.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Who's also relatively new to the position, right? You've been here, are you close to a year? How many?
About 7 months.
Oh, that's it? You're doing spectacular. 7 months. You're still in your 3rd trimester, so I'm riffing. I apologize. Anyway, Gina Duncan, your title, at least when I first started pursuing you, and was Associate Vice President of Film at BAM. Is it still the same, or are you?
So it was Associate Vice President of Cinema.
Of Cinema, excuse me.
But it's changed to Film now.
Okay.
Still Associate VP.
Did they change? They changed the official title from Cinema to Film.
Yes. Yeah, we did that at the same time that we changed the name of the program.
Interesting. Interesting. That's curious because, I'm waiting to get another, Film Society, drop the society, about that. That's a big, and it's not so subtle. I mean, I think that's a pretty significant nod, trying to reach a certain bigger audience, potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
Is that why they thought maybe cinema sounded?
So November 2018 marked 20 years of the BAM Rose Cinemas here at BAM.
Oh.
And so when we decided to think about the future, I wanted a name that was inclusive of the entire program and not BAM Cinematech, which was just about the rep program. And so we decided that we were, and we also wanted to be a part of the institution. People come to BAM. Mm-hmm. So we decided that we're BAM Film. And so it just made sense then for my title to change from cinema to film to just go in line with that. So
I didn't know if maybe you just dealt with film as opposed to digital films, movies or that's would have been another solution. What about movies? I guess if I do know when I talk to people, it seems like when you say the word cinema, you're speaking about using a parlance that refers to kind of like an art form. Which, of course, all film is, and then film is like a little bit less so, and then movies are perhaps the most pedestrian. I don't know. Anyway.
There does feel like there is a hierarchy of terms.
We
do say movies when we in our membership program we say half off movies.
Oh, okay.
So.
I know you come from the Jacob Burns Center before BAM, right? Mm-hmm. You were programming film there?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you there?
I think I was there actually about 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's significant.
Yeah.
And then here. And how was that transition from you? Because that's you're speaking to a much bigger audience, I assume.
Oh, it was it was a huge transition. Westchester County. I mean, we had a large audience coming to the Jacob Burns. That was the primary destination for most art film lovers in Westchester County. But then coming to Brooklyn, where we have 300,000 people come through the cinemas here, it's like close to half, if not half, the audience that comes to BAM overall is coming through the cinemas. And it's there's press here. There's no press in Westchester, so
I see.
You're doing things
much more under the spotlight or under the magnifying glass of that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I could hide in
scrutiny.
Westchester. I can't hide here.
Did you have to hide? Well, it must be liberating to not to have to hide. I feel like you. I understand what you mean. You're talking about just if something isn't getting the kind of attention that you'd love it to get, or something. But on the other hand, here you also, I have to imagine, even though I know Jacob Burns is a very a highly regarded institution, I can't think it was up in the Upper West Side. But I do know. When you say Westchester, I do know. There's probably some other Jacob Burns thing there on the Upper West Side, is my guess. However, here there's a lot of things that it's like people are like waiting in line to get their movies here, right? And to BAM, whether it's BAM Rose or like one of the festivals or retrospectives.
Yeah, it does feel. I mean, the thing that I liked about Jacob Burns was I had a sense of who was coming. Every night I was in the cinemas. is I programmed a lot of the special events and I programmed a lot of their documentary series. So you started to get to know your audience. Absolutely. And I was really fearful when I came here that I would never really get a sense of who was coming. And I still can't say that, like, you know, I definitely will never know everyone's name who comes through, but it's nice to see repeat people time and time again.
And you recognize people?
I'm starting to like get a sense of who are coming.
Or just anybody?
No, you know, it's funny. You know, at Jacob Burns, it was about 50-50 members to non-members. And at BAM, it's more, I think, like 25%, 26% are members. Yeah. Most people are non-members.
Is that a thing? That you're expected to maybe...
I feel like people should come in the way they want to come in. I mean, definitely if you're a member, you're paying significantly less for your ticket. You get half off tickets. So commercial. That's a one way to do it. You can also become a member for free for a year through the IDNYC program. So I think that's also a great benefit. But I know people who feel like, since BAM is a nonprofit, they want to give more. So they feel like the half off is too cheap. They would rather pay the full price as they feel like they're really giving something to the institution. So
really?
Yeah, I've heard that argument. I mean, I'm not going to,
That's what it is. It's an argument. Though I'm sure there is a rationale for just about everything. Yeah. But it seemed as though at one point, most businesses like, let's say, a BAM, Brooklyn Academy of Music, by the way, is for those... That the membership was really so important that was like the backbone, but it doesn't seem to necessarily always be the case. Like here, you have such a
I think that we are seeing a change actually in many nonprofits where they're kind of re-examining the idea of membership. I do know that with MoviePass, right? So when MoviePass was very big just before the bubble burst. When it did finally burst, you saw a lot of people online saying, well, let me just go ahead and get that BAM membership now. So I'll take it, you know, if they want to come that way. Right. But I do think people are re-examining what it means to be a member. And I know that I'm appreciative of all people who come here. But yes, the membership buy-in does support the institution and allows us to continue doing what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So that's also very important.
Yeah. I also remember, now that you mentioned it, when the ID NYC program began about 2 or 3 years back, that there were also like the deadlines for applying for it, so you get all these free memberships or 1-year memberships, and I just remember doing it myself, getting into that whole momentum, and everybody, you'd get there and they go ID NYC because they had like everybody that day was there.
We actually, of all of the nonprofits participating in ID NYC, we have the highest retention rate.
Oh, so people that's fantastic.
Yeah, people who sign up for our membership through IDNYC, when that expires after a year, they do renew. And they cite film as the reason. Well,
if that's not justification for that kind of program,
it's perfect.
Really, I was wondering about that. Mm-hmm. My favorite thing, and I remember being at BAM for a long. I lived in Brooklyn for many years, and coming to the Sundance Selects, which was a thing at one point before. It was like a showcase of some Sundance films they would do here, and then they were like, why are we doing just that when there's so many other great festivals and or films out there to showcase? So it became BAMcinemaFest. And this is 10 or 11 years ago when that happened. And just been here since, and coming back, I find it to be one of the most satisfying festivals in New York.
Oh, good. That's the goal.
I've always felt that way about BAMcinemaFest. I think it's a very special thing, and I think everybody needs to know about BAMcinemaFest, you know, within reach of the festival. Yeah. So I'm glad to talk about it, spend some time talking about it. This is the 11th year, the 11th festival, and I kind of call it more of a showcase because I look at it as like the best of indie. But there are you do accept. I mean, are you going out to Sundance and to South by? And looking at premiering anything, or just going there, not waiting?
Oh, so for us, CinemaFest starts at Sundance. Yeah, I go out every year. Right. You know, myself, Ashley Clark, Jesse Trussell, Ryan Warner, we're the selection committee. So we go out and we cover the festival, and then usually about 2 or 3 of us go to South by, and anything that bubbles up there, the rest of us get screeners for. Right. And then we get submissions. People send us things.
You still do. That's great. That's terrific. Right. And I assume that Tribeca is way too late in the process for you guys, right?
It's also, it has to be a New York premiere. So we're also, you know, hoping that a lot of the things that we like don't end up in Tribeca during that period.
That makes total sense. So, right, that makes sense. And it's so close to it also.
Or new directors, for that matter.
Another wonderful festival, but I'll bleep that out.
No, new directors is great.
No, I know it, of course. So this year I saw quite a few, and I look forward to seeing some of them more. But the Farewell, I have a friend who edited this film.
Oh, fantastic!
Michael Taylor. I haven't had a chance to see it, so I can't speak eloquently about the Farewell, which is your opening night selection.
Yeah, I mean, I really love the film. I made the joke the other day in our staff meeting that it's just like right up my alley because I'm a grandma's girl. I'm very close to my grandmother, so I felt
your grandma's around?
Yes.
This grandmother you're referring to?
Yeah. She lives in Westchester County. I go and see her every other weekend that I'm in town.
She's still a member of the Jacob Burns Center. She's like, "Where's my granddaughter? What have you done with her?"
Yes, my grandmother sounds exactly like that.
Woody Allen.
Exactly. She's a Jamaican Woody Allen. So no, I really love the film. It's also the first time CinemaFest has opened with a film directed by a woman filmmaker.
That's incredible.
That was not, not in any way in the thinking. We weren't going out with that
There was no
aim.
agenda behind it.
There was no agenda
showing the best
behind
films
it.
you could find.
We're showing the best films. And I think Awkwafina is just quite lovely in it. I think she's showing a bit more range in this film, and you get to see her in a different mode. And I think she does it successfully. It's very beautifully directed. The entire cast is a great ensemble. And I'm also really excited because when I first moved to New York in 2008, I was working on an off-Broadway show, Mike Birbiglia's Sleepwalk with Me.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I was producing that, and I was producing that with Big Beach, with Peter Seraph and Danny Malia. Okay. So it's really exciting now, to see Danny have her first film as a producer, and I'm getting to support someone who is so great and really integral to actually me coming to New York. If Big Beach hadn't supported Sleepwalk, we wouldn't have come to New York to do it, so...
Yeah, I'm processing a lot of this stuff. I remember I almost ran Michael Birbiglia over in my car at the
Sorry.
Just a colorful anecdote there. Yeah. You shouldn't laugh at that.
I almost ran over Ben Vereen in a car once. So
were you aiming or were you?
No.
Okay,
he
good.
Just stepped off the curb just without looking. And yeah.
Well, that's what happened to him, though.
He did get hit by a car.
He did get hit by,
and he did not learn his lesson because he did it
happened again. But that time, the second time, it was more understandable because he passed out or something.
Yeah. Okay.
The first time, I don't know what happened,
okay.
But yeah, that's a tragic story that
we'll edit that out.
Great car accidents in our days. There's 4 screenings of The Farewell. There's absolutely no excuse other than the fact that they're all sold out. That you should miss one of these screenings. They're showing you're going to be in every theater in the.
Yeah, since we don't have the Harvey this year, so
they're renovating it.
Yeah,
right?
The Harvey's being renovated, which is exciting when we have it next year. But that holds about 750, so we would need all 4 screens in the BAMRA cinemas in order to equal what we normally would have for opening night.
That would be there normally on a typical opening night. Mm-hmm. So, and when is the Harvey when is that scheduled to be done?
I believe it should be back online by the fall.
Okay, that's good timing, I guess. The Harvey is a couple blocks from the main BAM building here on Lafayette and Flatbush.
Yes, it's Flatbush.
We'll just say Flatbush. Mm-hmm. So 4 screenings of The Farewell opening night. Are there any? Are they all sold out at this stage? They're all 700 or 800,000 tickets. Mm-hmm. Okay. When they say that, they don't mean it. So just come and go.
You could do standby line.
Standby line.
It's always crazy to me. There's always at least 20 people who buy tickets who never show up.
Yeah.
It's like
also, I just have to imagine that there's always some things come up and some people just have an emergency or some other thing they forgot about.
Yeah.
And then you can go pay. You have to pay for it. This is a new thing. I'm not going to put this. I'm not going to mention that though. But I'm going to say that you can also attend the party. Check out the BAM website for details or the program. If you're in the neighborhood, pick up a program. You only have a few more days. To plan that night. But you can But let's say you can't get tickets for The Farewell that night. You could still go to the party if you arrange. Well, you have to pay for that.
Yeah.
I'll just say it out. Pussyfooting around that subject. All right. Well, I want to talk about a few others because I've actually seen a bunch of these. You know what happens to me? I couldn't travel to Sundance because nobody pays for my ticket. Or it puts me up anywhere, and I don't want to be one of those guys like freezing, standing out, trying to get into it. Can I come in? That's generally what happens. South by Southwest, I usually go to make up for that.
Okay.
And it's a little warmer. but couldn't go this year for a number of reasons. But I go to like these looks like other great festivals that are smaller, but they're, coming from the also so I get to see, and if I do that to 4 or 5 of them throughout the year, I get to see just about everything. And BAM is definitely one of those that I count
Fantastic.
on. I saw The Sound of Silence, which was terrific. I saw one of my favorites, by the way, which I saw recently at another festival in Maryland. Is called South Mountain, and Hilary Brocker is the film. That's a great choice. I'm glad to see you put that in there.
I was like, I love that film so much. It's beautiful. I think Talia Balsam is fantastic in the film.
She's the lead actor. She's in almost every moment of the film, and boy, is she's a revelation.
Completely.
That, right?
And that's one that, it's our spotlight film.
Okay. And
I just think that so often, you know what? It's just a testament to having a woman filmmaker for that role. It's not Talia being there's no feeling of her being a victim in this, right? It's a woman who is figuring out what the change in her life and this change in circumstances, and it ends with her being a bit more empowered. So that I really loved. I really loved that.
Yeah, and I think she didn't make anybody bad. It would have been easy.
It would have been easy. Because in real life, those type of situations, a lot of the times you have to there's love there, and you still have to figure out. Yeah. Absolutely. Exactly right. And I know it firsthand from experience, but as most people probably do, that, start a family and then it breaks up for one reason or another. Also, it's just like everybody's complicated, and everybody has a liability in the dissolution of the marriage or a family, and this movie really shows I thought, a thoughtful representation of what that means, whereas the husband, yes, of course, he's very faulted. Right. Completely.
The opening sequence is pretty outrageous. Oh, yeah. But, you learn and you see this woman who's so amazing, but she's also, brings a lot of flaws to her own.
I also think the opening, too, just how outrageous it is. I remember watching it for the first time and thinking oh, this is going to go way off the rails. How can you have a moment like this and then actually bring it, still make this realistic, but I think it's a testament to Hilary and Talia that they really make it work post that.
And they gave it a background and a history which helped explain how that could happen. Where this
yeah.
So good for you to include that. I have a couple of interviews with Hilary. I'm going to post it
fantastic.
as a way of also promoting. I think I also had Vision Portraits. See, it's taking me a second to remember the filmmaker, but I had that. He's also done my show. He was at South by.
Yeah, he was here recently because we showed Brother to Brother in the Marlon Riggs program. And that one too, I think, I actually don't remember. I think he might have sent us that.
Oh, that makes sense. Yes.
I think he sent us to
He hired a publicist, so.
Yeah, and so that was really wonderful to have something that it's a filmmaker who we have supported in the past.
Oh, okay.
Have a relationship with.
Rodney. Yeah.
And have him tell such a deeply personal story, but it's just so beautifully done. And I'm really excited that we were able to support him with the title here and giving it a proper New York premiere in his hometown.
The one I'm really looking forward to, or one of them anyway, that is on the top of my list is The Amazing Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard...
it's ridiculous.
Ridiculously good.
Well, it's just I think that for all aspiring young documentary filmmakers should probably take a look at this film. It's just every moment there's another reveal, and you're just what the fuck is this again? So
you can't curse on my podcast.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. You can.
Yeah. So I think that it's just it's entertaining. It's funny. Mm-hmm. It's just a really, really kind of preposterous what happens. So.
Oh my gosh! Now I got to see it. Is that sold out? Do you know?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay. So
not yet.
For many of the films, there's still tickets available, so you should jump on it pretty quick.
We have a few documentaries this year, some really fantastic smaller docs that we wouldn't have had the chance.
Like Vision Portraits.
Sure. Like the Cancer Journals Revisited, which is inspired by the Audre Lorde piece. The Hottest August is also one, and then Caballerango, which I think is really quite beautiful. So those films, I really, really think people should take a chance on. I don't think they would be disappointed with any one of them.
How is it that you have two films that are equally both powerful and meaningful, and one just happens to. Maybe is it? I haven't finished, but like one take kind of hits with the zeitgeist, or just does really well out there, and one, sort of remains a little bit under the outside of the spotlight or what have you. Like, I wonder sometimes is it what goes into that? Like, if it's just maybe the filmmaker is better at playing, the game of ambassador, or that role rather, or, because you have to go out there and you go to the festivals and network and really, get to know people and get them excited about your film. I mean, and if you're not as good at that, I don't talk to filmmakers.
I just watch the films. Is that what you mean? Like, so how do filmmakers get...
but how do you still... But some of them are doing so well that they're going to get in front of you. You would say you're watching the films, but they're going to be... There's more highly likely the film that gets in front of you is going to be somebody who is more... I don't know, where there's a buzz or something like that. You know what I'm trying to get at here?
I get that. But I do think there's some things that we've gotten in the... especially in our closing night film, De La Mio.
Right.
We got... early in the process through someone just saying, I think you should check this out.
Okay.
But then, it was very early. We were looking at a bunch of different things, and then we finally got to the title, and I was just like, ugh, like this is like, I wish I had seen this first. It was like, it was just, I mean, not that not that it really changed anything, but it was just so like, I was just so happy that I finally got to see it, and I was like, it was just like the perfect closing night film for us. It just was like this like gift that had been sitting in the inbox for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was not any, I don't believe that there was any much of a connection there. It was just one person who said, hey, I think you should check this out. And we had a few things that came in through submissions as well that, I mean, we really try our best to cover everything, and we're always looking for something that's not at Sundance or South by, something that's, completely, that can just be C-Fest. And I think since I started, my first year we had one world premiere, and last year we had 3. And this year we have 3, and the goal is to continue to grow that. And the world premieres last year, and the same with this year, tend to be those smaller films that don't have the
that pedigree from that coming from those festivals. And how do people or filmmakers specifically submit? Do they go through Film Freeway or Without a Box, that kind of thing, or do they actually mail it in with a letter?
We post
stand outside?
Post something on our site actually.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we also send an email to alums letting them know that submissions are open, and then they can share that with people.
Right.
I mean, we don't have a lot of screeners, so it's real. Like I said, it's an extremely small team just kind of going through it.
That was my next question. So those 4 people, including yourself, that you mentioned that are part of the selection committee. They are also the screening committee.
Yes.
You don't have a separate group of people like a lot of festivals will
get
this volunteers or what have you.
No, this was the first year that we brought in a few people to help with shorts. We used to do all the features and the shorts. This year, Natalie Arazo, who's our department coordinator and a junior programmer, oversaw this short film selection with 3 screeners that we had. So Maria Cabrera, Saida Russell, and Taylor Montague. So we had like 4 young women of color who did our short film selections this year, and I think they did an amazing job. Both of the programs are really strong.
There's 2 blocks of shorts.
There's 2 blocks. We have documentary and narrative, and those tend to be like my favorite sections, just because it's just so much. You have all these filmmakers and all their support fans and crew in the house. And there's a lot of love in the room for those.
Yes. And I noticed that when I go to I'm always feeling like I have to see the features. There's so many I want to see, and I get more lost in them. But then I sometimes end up going to a block because of the timing or the location, and I'm always so glad I go to that, because I always I'm really discovering lots of great talent that
We really try and tell a story with our shorts programs. Like, we want them to play collectively speaking, we want them to play well together. So that's I think that worked out really well last year and this year.
Do you try to do that? Well, I know it's a little bit more complicated, but do you try to do that overall with the festival? Or, I mean,
it's hard, even though this festival feels like there's a theme of like this festival feels a little darker, though I feel like there's much more hope in it than maybe some of the titles might
Like the mountain,
Yeah.
which I saw.
Yeah, might allude to. Sunrise Sunset, which also I think came through as a submission.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's a student filmmaker.
Oh.
And
hate those talented kids.
And that was just one that we saw, and I just like immediately fell in love with. I was just so excited about being able to give it a world premiere. And then finding, we also found Leave the Bus Through the Broken Window. And having those two films play together. So that's a really, I think, interesting and unique program for us to have two shorter features together. Themes wise, going back to, I was saying it's dark because death is definitely a theme, but also the comedy aspect with the Nick Kroll film, Olympic Dreams, which is one long improv. And then also it started as a joke, the Eugene Merman documentary about his comedy festival, which I think also started the first year I moved to New York. So we do have, and then in terms of So Pretty, it's one of those films that, I mean, so much right now, and I think it's a real issue, and we do need to talk about trans lives and the threat to trans people and their safety. But it was just really just kind of hopeful and fantastic to come across a film like So Pretty that also just shows everyday life, relationships. It's less about the trauma aspect of and more about just what life is like. There's more what it can be like if you have a community and you are accepted.
Not have to be in the role of how he's representing.
Yeah,
and just live your life.
I think that's what's nice kind of fantastic about it. I mean, I think it's just people living their lives, enjoying summer and spring in New York City, and young love and relationships, and just friendships and community. And I think that is really important that's really important to see, just as much as it's very important to know that the real dangers that some trans people face because they are not accepted.
What about panels? I remember, I think I saw something. It was surprising how much non-screening events are going on.
Yeah, so last year was the first time that we did industry panels. Okay. It was my attempt to kind of bring some industry discussion into the festival. Folks tend to approach BAMcinemaFest in a very a la carte way. So there's a couple films or maybe only one film that they want to see, which is actually kind of exciting. So you're not just like stuck with the same, people who have passes that come through all the time. And so it's just different people coming all the time. So the panels, I think, are they're free, first of all. Oh, so they're Saturday, June 15th, and it's from 10 to 4 in the Le Perc space here at BAM. So that's where BAM Cafe Live happens.
Is that, you mean it's like
on the second floor?
Lobby?
Yes, above the lobby. And it's just, wall-to-wall discussions. We have a panel about short films. I'll be on a panel this year talking about the art house and the problems and also the joys of operating an art house. And Mike Majori, Raj Roy, Leslie Kleinberg is also going to be on.
Star-studded.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time. We have a
All
producing...
have done my podcast.
We have a producing panel, and also we're doing something called Critically Minded, where Cam Austin Collins from Vanity Fair, Doreen St. Felix from The New Yorker, and Elizabeth Mendez-Berry and a few others will be joining them to talk about some of the issues that, they're facing in their industry, in their sector of their industry. And then we have a Making Your Film Your Own, a craft panel, which I'm really excited that Deborah Granick is going to be joining us this year.
Oh, yeah.
Along with the filmmaker of So Pretty.
Also done my show.
Deborah. Diana Peralta, who's our closing night filmmaker, and Hillary, who we talked about earlier. So I think that's going to be a really great one. And I just really urge, we're doing it this year with IFP. They programmed these panels with us. So they're a really great partner. But I just really encourage anyone who's an aspiring filmmaker or knows someone who is, that they should take advantage of this, because typically you would have to pay a lot of money to access these type of conversations.
So spend the money on the party.
Yes.
But go to the panels for free. It balances out.
Yeah. You pay for your fun, education for free.
The last thing I was going to say, I feel like at the end of the day, while technology keeps improving and we have all these great online resources for seeing just about anything you want to see as far as content. But if you're coming to, when you experience, and you can do this really well at BAMcinemaFest, it's a great way of doing it, actually. But if you go to a screening at the festival and at a great theater with a great projection, and you watch a great film with pretty like-minded people around you that want to see good stories and be excited, and then afterwards there's this fun, engaging kind of conversation afterwards with people who represent the film. You can't try to create that in any other.
No,
that experience
people try
is
and
so,
create that with like
when you
Twitter
leave, you're
conversations.
high. You'll be high. When you leave, you're going to feel buzzed. And you're going to
feel great,
and you'll discover new things and potentially new friends.
Yeah, I mean, we.
And that's why people can't sit alone in cafes on their laptops only.
No, you have to go out into the world. I mean, I'm a homebody.
Me too.
But I do like to see films with people. You know, that's especially films that I you know, from filmmakers I've never heard of or new, like from emerging artists. I just like that energy that people have when they're kind of surprised by something or when they're really enjoying something, and how that kind of washes over you. I mean, we talk about it in the curation of CinemaFest. There's certain titles that we watch together, and sometimes I can feel, like if I'm sitting next to someone in a selection committee, I can feel how they feel about the film, you know? So sometimes I don't want to sit next to them because I want to go sit elsewhere so I can have my feelings too. But I think that it just reminds you of just how connected we all are, actually, and how we communicate so much without our words too. So we need to remember that.
Well said. BAMcinemaFest runs from June 12th through the 23rd here at the flagship building. This year, we're not going to be. It will not take place at Harvey because they're renovating it, but it will be at the original address here in Fort Greene. And so I urge everybody to go to BAM.org. You don't probably have to get any further for a link to come up to guide you.
It'll be right on the
tickets,
front page. Times,
and details. Tickets. You can purchase your tickets immediately, or go on your phone and just Google that, and come out to BAM. There's so much going on, and filmmakers and actors, casts are coming out every night for the screenings. So it's a lot of fun. I can tell you firsthand, it's a ton of fun. I love coming to BAMcinemaFest every year.
Thank you.
It was great meeting you, Gina.
You too.
Thank you so much for carving out time this close to the festival.
Thank you, Adam. I really appreciated it.
Okay. Take care.